Welcome to Watch Mojo. Today, we're looking at 10 great Japanese games that should come to the West. Do these publishers just not want to make money? For this list, we're looking at awesome Japanese games that haven't been officially released outside of Japan. Games with fan-made translations are allowed. Captain Rainbow. Nintendo has produced the most successful and famous mascots not just in gaming, but in pop culture as a whole. But that doesn't mean Nintendo doesn't care about its lesser-known properties. Wii exclusive Captain Rainbow is a smorgasbord of Nintendo characters that only the oldest and most dedicated fans will remember, featuring side characters of big games and protagonists of small games. It's these characters you'll spend most of the game helping as Nick, whose magical belt makes him the superhero Captain Rainbow. Perhaps this game was considered too niche to appear outside Japan, but there are plenty of people worldwide who want to play it. Tokimeki Memorial.
皆さんはじめまして。名前は藤崎しおりです。
The game that popularized the dating sim genre, Tokimeki Memorial is a genre milestone that still isn't available in English decades after its release, despite the fact that it launched an enormous franchise. Players have roughly a dozen different girls to try and date, need to increase their many stats just to be in with a chance, and do well in school. These are all features you might take for granted now, but they were truly revolutionary in the early 90s. Though it did have a feature that hasn't been widely replicated, the bomb system, where neglected girls will start rumors about you and destroy your reputation. Finally, in 2020, the game had a modern re-release, which was also only available in Japan. Shining Force 3, Scenario 2 and 3. In 1998, Shining Force 3 was released in Europe and North America. Well, it was partially released. Coming out in 3 separate volumes in Japan, only the first of these, Scenario 1, was ever localized for other regions. If you're still waiting for Scenario 2 and 3 to appear on American shelves, so is everybody else. The 3 games have separate but related stories about different characters, creating a grand fantasy narrative where they're all combined. Dedicated fans have worked tirelessly since the 90s to bring a full English patch into being, and the patch is still regularly updated. But it remains baffling that Sega would release Part 1 and not the next 2. Shin Megami Tensei II. Later Shin Megami Tensei releases, not to mention the entire spin-off Persona franchise, have seen immense popularity in the West. Persona 5 remains one of the best PS4 games of all time. So why has Atlus never decided to localize every game under the Shin Megami Tensei umbrella for different audiences? Your guess is as good as ours. Shin Megami Tensei II, while not being the best game in the series, is still an outstanding JRPG from one of the most lauded JRPG developers in the business. Set in a futuristic Tokyo, it has all the demon-fusing gameplay and dungeon crawling you'd expect, but with no official translation. Ace Attorney: Investigations 2. Phoenix Wright is far from the best character in Ace Attorney, despite being the lead in most games. His longtime rival Miles Edgeworth has always been more interesting, and finally, in 2009, he got a game of his own. But though Ace Attorney Miles Edgeworth had a worldwide release, the 2011 sequel has had no such luck. And this isn't the only Ace Attorney game to never appear outside Japan. Suffering a similar fate is the Great Ace Attorney: The Adventure of Ryonosuke Naruhodo, which follows Phoenix's Victorian ancestor who goes to England and teams up with Sherlock Holmes. If ever there was a game screaming for an English release, it's this one. Dragon Quest X. This long-running franchise has seen many English entries over the years, including both Dragon Quest IX and Dragon Quest XI, and yet, Square Enix still hasn't seen fit to release Dragon Quest X in any other region. They might have ported it to basically every platform possible, but porting it into a different language is apparently too difficult for one of the biggest publishers in the industry. Admittedly, Dragon Quest X is an MMO, which could make translations of constant updates a daunting task, but it's still a widely popular game. With a few clever tricks, you can get a digital version of this game to run outside Japan, but it's still going to be in Japanese. Monster Hunter Frontier G. Though it began life as an expansion pack, Frontier G eventually got a standalone release and came to quite a few consoles. It added tons of content to the globally successful Monster Hunter franchise, including bosses, weapons, new arenas, and new skills, but it was destined to remain in Japan during its 6-year lifespan. When the entire Frontier service was shut down in 2019, Frontier G went with it, removing all hope that it would ever come to the West. Still, when the entire series remains incredibly popular, we can hope that someday Frontier G, or an MMO like it, will release in a region we can actually play it in. Police Knots. Weird as they are, Hideo Kojima's games do well worldwide, not just in Japan, which is why it's baffling that Police Knots still hasn't had a Western release. The game follows a group of cops on Earth's first space colony as they investigate a bizarre crime at the behest of a woman whose husband had mysteriously disappeared. With the rift between Kojima and Konami and their messy divorce, it doesn't look likely that we'll ever see the release of this classic Kojima property anytime soon, despite the fact that an English version was alleged to be incoming for the Sega Saturn. Luckily, in 2009, a fan-made English patch was released, but it's still impossible to find through official channels. Valkyria Chronicles III. A popular series both in and out of Japan, it's still a mystery why the third installment of Valkyria Chronicles, released exclusively on the PSP, has never emerged elsewhere. It got more of the same tactical gameplay fans are familiar with, but with a story people are dying to see. Set during a World War II-esque conflict, players will take control of a military unit made up of vagabonds and misfits sent into the most dangerous battles of all. It's a big story with a lot of scope and ambition, not to mention a beautiful 1930s design, and it's a crying shame that the only way to play it in English is through an unofficial translation. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Jump Ultimate Stars. This game can only leave Japan if its 40+ licensing agreements are renegotiated. Fatal Frame, Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. One of the few Fatal Frames not to be localized, just had to be one of the best. Namco Cross Capcom. Developers claim that these characters are, quote, too obscure for Western audiences. We disagree. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Mother 3. The West has definitely suffered when it comes to this landmark RPG series, with neither Mother nor Mother 3 having proper releases. Earthbound is great, but we love the others as well. Numerous times in Nintendo's history have rumors of an incoming Mother 3 localization appeared, but none has ever been released. Anonymous Nintendo sources said that the game can't be released outside Japan because it has caricatures of trans women that wouldn't go down well today. But removing the scenes would earn Nintendo the ire of hardcore mother fans. It seems Nintendo is caught in a catch-22 with this game. Still, we've always got the fan versions. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.